FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, they don't need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Commanders moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. K-Dot in the mid, dissect the grind. District divided with a city in mind. Trying to dance why, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the word, so shit is shit. K-Dot.
Welcome everyone to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I'm Amit. That is K-Dot. The long search for a defensive coordinator is over. The Washington Commanders hired Daronte Jones, pass game coordinator and DB's coach from the Minnesota Vikings. We get into our thoughts, reaction on the move. Then Daron Payne has been the center of conversation now that it is the offseason. He's owed $28 million against the cap this coming season. And if you cut him, well, then you only lose 11 million. So you'd save 17 million. Do you keep him? Do you cut him? Do you trade him? That is now a topic of conversation. We're going to give you our thoughts on Daron Payne and what to do. Then we got the NFL playoffs, some great conference championship games. Well, one great conference championship game. The other was also close. And then Bill Belichick did not get into the Hall of Fame. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Our thoughts on that? Comment mailbag, as we always do. So before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
Fuck ICE, fuck the administration, you stand with anyone, fuck you too. The shit is shit!
Fully echo what K-Dot said, share this shit. Let's go ahead and get into it. The Washington Commanders on January 25th, it was announced that they were going to interview Daronte Jones, defensive backs coach and pass game coordinator for Brian Flores' Minnesota Vikings, that defense. On January 26th, the next day, it was announced that he was going to become our defensive coordinator. By all accounts, he crushed the interview process, blew them away. You hear that a whole lot. And so he did his part. And now he is our defensive coordinator. This is an impressive Minnesota Vikings pass defense specifically. This season, they finished number 1 in terms of pass yards allowed. They ended up finishing 10th in turnovers overall. It's a nice unit, and in terms of passer rating allowed over the last 2 years, 82-something in 2024, 86-something here in 2025. So 2 back-to-back nice years for them. K-Dot, your thoughts on the move?
I like it. I mean, the thing is, like, I've kind of been saying is that I don't think that they were going to do anything that was going to disappoint me, but also I don't know if they could do anything that was going to blow my socks off, because I can look at anything with some pros and cons. I will say that, like, looking at him in particular, like, as soon as he got announced, the first thing I do is pull up YouTube and type in his name to just see if there's any interviews or what have you. And I think everybody, if you type it in, probably one of the first things that come up is him coaching at the Senior Bowl. Was it the Senior Bowl or the East-West game? I don't know. I forget which one it was. And the entire time I'm watching it, I know that he's dealing with some young guys, but the way that he's talking and the way he's teaching and the way that he's going, that to me spoke volumes in the sense of what I thought this particular coaching staff was supposed to be about, and talking about like what Dan Quinn and everybody says. But when you see them constantly fundamentally making the same mistakes over and over and over again, you're kind of wondering, okay, what's going on with the actual coaching? But you can see even that short video, the way he's teaching the whys, the way he's trying to simplify and keep it like really dumbed down, I guess, to some degree, and the way he's just motivating. We all talked about, like, one of the big things that we wanted as far as on defense was energy, and at least an energy that meshes with what it is we have right now. And to me, that seems like he's got that in spades. And I love the idea that, like, it's not, I mean, he's only got, 1 year of actual defensive coordinator experience, and that's at LSU. And if you look into that season at LSU, it was a little wonky in the sense of it's not a good LSU season if you're looking at it, but he was not in full control of the defense until a certain point of the year, and you see they actually kind of turn it around a bit once he got more control due to good old Ed down there. So, like, I just think that, like, he only has a 1 year of defensive coordinating experience, but he's 47 years old and has been around coaching forever. So, like, there's one thing that you can see, depending on looking at all the different levels he's been at, the dude's a teacher. And that's what I really want, especially with this defense and the mistakes that I've seen from last year. And if that's the case, with that energy and him being a teacher at heart, I feel great about it.
Yeah, I mean, he was literally a teacher. Okay, so like to begin his career, he started off as a grad assistant. He was also teaching, at the same time, and he worked his way. So in terms of his character, you cannot question the guy. He started coaching when he was 23 years old. right? He's now 47. He started in high school. Then he went to college, then back to high school, then to college again, then to the pros, then to college, then to the pros. Like, he has been everywhere, every single level. And he has spoken about coaching at those different levels and the importance of being able to communicate with people of all different ages. So he has that notch in his belt. Another notch in his belt, John Keim had Kevin Seifert on. That's the ESPN correspondent for the Minnesota Vikings. Had Brian Flores left for a head coaching gig, this was likely the guy that was going to be their defensive coordinator. So it looks like Daronte was going to become a defensive coordinator, whether it was here, whether it was in Minnesota somewhere. So from that perspective, you can feel good as a Commanders fan that, hey, we got somebody that was ultimately coveted over here. And then in terms of, again, the last couple years, I've liked what I've seen out of that Vikings defense, specifically in the secondary, right? So Byron Murphy gets 6 interceptions in 2024. Harrison Smith absolutely adores Daronte Jones. So that is a Minnesota Vikings legend. I know that a lot of friends that are Vikings fans, he's known for his work ethic. He's known for organizing the defense. Like, Harrison Smith is that guy for the Minnesota Vikings. It's good that Daronte is held in high regard in his eyes. So I'm excited for the aggression that he's going to bring. He is a Brian Flores disciple. He's also worked under Mike Zimmer. He's worked under Ed Donatel. Now, Tommy Donatel is the DB's coach over here, so maybe he sticks around. That is Ed's son. But we'll see. We're also going to see some changes with the defensive coaches. Jason Simmons has already left for Pittsburgh, so he will not be on staff next year for us like he was the last couple of years. So those changes begin. We should expect press conferences for both Daronte Jones and David Blau after the Super Bowl. K-Dot, you had a face at one point when I was talking about Harrison Smith.
Oh no, it wasn't Harrison Smith. It was the who knows many Vikings fans. There's that many.
Oh yeah, well, went to school in Minnesota. That'd be why.
Right. Okay, I forgot about that. I was like, oh, the hell? Like, who does that? Like, who knows them? No, I agree. I agree with the sentiment and everything you're saying. I think this is exciting. I think what's going to be interesting is seeing the rest of the way the position coaches work out, and the fact that you do have guys on both offense and defense that are still taking interviews. And you would think that if it was a slam dunk that they would be here, they would already been taken care of, and they're not going to be taking some of these interviews. So it gets kind of interesting, except for like Anthony Lynn, who looks like if he were to go somewhere else, it would be a huge promotion. But even that looks like it's that well is trying. Yeah, I think it's cool. I also think Dan Quinn. I think there are different theories. Either his seat's not as warm as you think it is, or he's really just throwing a kitchen sink at this thing. Regardless, I think it means he's got balls of fucking steel, and I'm impressed over the fact that he's bringing in some new blood just to do it, and just because he thinks it's the best move. I mean, there were a lot of options out here as far as coordinators go, and I don't necessarily. I've heard people throw cold water on the aspect of that people were looking at this particular job and looking at Dan Quinn and thinking that he might be even a lame duck, so they don't necessarily want to tie themselves to this. But everybody that I listened to, as far as any reporters or beat reporters or Keim or anything else, have been kind of throwing water on that aspect of it. So I do think that they've had like their choice. And even if it wasn't one of the marquee names, I mean, there were still a lot of really interesting picks as far as defense coordinator, and a lot of those picks that you would also say Dan Quinn would be ready to receive a lot of criticism because of certain connections that might have existed. I know that you can look at there's definitely guys that he could have hired that would have absolutely spoke to that connection. And I think the fan base would have hated that. So I think this move itself, it's off the beaten path, and I love hearing that after the interview, Dan Quinn was like, he was talking to everybody like, hey, do I have something wrong? Like, why isn't this guy a defensive coordinator yet? Like, I like that type of shit. And I'm a Dan Quinn guy, and I do believe in what it is they're building. And I do like that they have somebody that looks like he'll really going to breathe some new blood into it, bring some new ideas into it, and get a defense that, shit, I mean, we haven't had a defense dictate the offenses probably since Greg Williams. Maybe. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know Jack Del Rio had a couple top 10 defenses, but I still don't think as far as from a dictate to them, it's been forever since I've seen a defensive artist like do that.
Yeah. Again, the idea behind Daronte Jones is that he is going to bring some aggression to our approach against these offenses, which is music to everyone's ears after we had the worst defense in the NFL according to yards allowed, and then the second worst in turnover margin, right? And so Dan Quinn had mentioned turnover margin, and I'd like to echo what you just said, K-Dot, and kudos to Dan Quinn, because you have first-time coordinators on both spots, right? And I do think that because Daronte, as experienced as he is going to be a first-time NFL defensive coordinator, I think there will be a little bit of a helping hand early on just to make sure that he feels comfortable, and then just let him take it from there. So I appreciate Dan putting his fingerprints on the defense, is at least my assumption based on this. If we had hired a guy like Raheem Morris, I don't think he does it at all. He's like, Raheem's Raheem. I've worked with him before. That's it. So I'm glad that Dan is rolling the dice over here in an appropriate fashion with who I think is a strong candidate after reading about all the other ones relative to Daronte. Now, I will say this. The Minnesota Vikings were very good with turnovers this past season. They ended up, I want to say, 10th in the NFL in turnovers on defense. They were number 1 in fumbles recovered, and they were number 25 in interceptions. You know who else was number 25? Was us. So both teams had 8 interceptions each. So when we're just looking at the secondary, a little word of caution that, yeah, you hear takeaways. It's not suddenly like we're going to have 25 interceptions, right? Like, which would be insane, just to be clear. But they had 8 last season. Byron Murphy went from 6 interceptions in 2024 down to 2. Then there was Andrew Van Ginkel, who had 1. That's an outside linebacker against us. I'm sure we all remember that on the screen pass. And then it's Josh Metellus, who's a safety. They line him up everywhere. Harrison Smith, once again, that's another safety. So, like, maybe some safeties. Maybe this does help Quan Martin, assuming he's still going to be playing a good amount, because he had a nicer 2024 than 2025. But this should help Mikey Sanders still, who would have led both teams in interceptions this past season. He had 4. So that's the type of person you're looking to target. And, of course, we got a lot of hopes for Trey Amos as well in that secondary. But we're going to need talent as well. So, K-Dot, if I may, I was looking at the Minnesota Vikings last season because it can help to bring in certain players from the place you just got your new defensive coordinator. So one of the names to look out for is Eric Wilson. He ended up forcing 4 fumbles last season. He had 6 sacks, 31 years old, linebacker. He is out of contract. Maybe he follows Daronte Jones over here. That's one name to look out for. Then cap casualties. We're going to be talking about Daron Payne in a moment, right? What do we do there? Well, the Minnesota Vikings have 3 different names on defense, top 3 in terms of cap relief. It's going to be Jonathan Grenard. They would save $12.5 million. It's an edge rusher. He had 12 sacks in 2024, and then unfortunately just 3 this past season. So maybe the recency of it, they go, hey, we're going to save the money. So Jonathan Grenard can come over here. Then there's Javon Hargrave. They would save $11 million. That's a nose tackle right there. And then, of course, Jonathan Allen, they would save $5 million. I'd anticipate he stays since they just signed him. But who knows? Those are just names to look out for when we begin talking about the talent. K-Dot.
Yeah, I'm ready for Jonathan Allen to make his return.
Any final thoughts over here before we talk about some of the defensive talent in the form of Daron Payne?
I'm just excited, man. I'm glad that they made the choice. I'm glad that now they're kind of moving forward, and I'm just interested to see what happens with the position coaches. How many guys does Daronte take with him from Minnesota or somewhere else? The only thing, like what you were saying, I do think that he's going to get a little more carte blanche than most first-time NFL defense coordinators, just because of how long he's been in the league. And from what I understand and what I've heard, yeah, like there's one thing to be a defensive backs coach. I think people hear, when you hear like run game coordinator or pass game coordinator, there's like what is that? It used to be more of a placeholder, just so you could keep talent like in the door and give them a bit of an upgrade or in a promotion to some degree. But right now, from what I understand and what I've seen, is like those guys are really responsible for a decent amount of stuff. And like it's really that they end up being like the head coach's kind of just gopher in the sense of like being able to do a whole lot of stuff. So I would assume that, like, once again, depending on what happens with the position coaches thing, I think that he's going to get, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but I do think that, like, depending on how you feel about the Joe Witt situation and Dan Quinn's involvement, I do think he's gonna have a lot of carte blanche to do what he wants to.
I'd imagine he would. Again, 23 years of coaching experience, and at every single level. This is not your typical first-time coordinator.
Right.
He's paid his dues. He knows a lot of people around the league. So, yeah, I imagine they give him a little bit more leeway over here. So let's go ahead and talk about Daron Payne, who has been the subject of a lot of conversation online amongst fans. What do you do with him? Ben Standig also wrote an article on this. John Keim has now chimed in on this. Like, this seems to be the topic of conversation. Daron Payne enters his final year of his deal, and the cap number is 28 million. If you were to cut him, there's a dead cap of 11 million, meaning that you would save 17 million against the cap if you cut him. The idea being that you could then use that money on other players, maybe even multiple starters on defense. So that's just me laying the table, K-Dot. I've got a very strong opinion on this, but you go ahead. The floor is yours.
I feel like you should probably lead if you have the very strong opinion. I have an opinion, I have a take, and it sounds like I'm going to argue with me about it, but fuck it. I'm cool with bringing him back. And the reason I'm cool with bringing him back is, especially like if there's going to be a situation where what it looks like everybody's saying that if he comes back, he's just going to play under that year, like you said, right? No new deal, nothing, just kind of have him rock. I don't know how attractive he is as far as trade bait at some point during the season if he's got like no contract or anything like that. But I do think with defensive line, depending on you have some contenders, you still might be able to get something for him. But beyond that, I just the way I look at it, I have a team where I think they're at a particular level from a talent standpoint, and I believe if I'm looking at talent and you lose Daron Payne, you're a lot less talented. And while I do want us to be able to develop some of the young guys to get in position or anything, I still need guys that I know are talented. And I always consider Daron Payne to be kind of part of that whole process that we would have, unless one of the young guys really stepped up and like took it on. And Johnny Newton, to me, he's almost there, but he's not Daron Payne.
I totally agree with you. So,
no shit!
Anybody that is saying cut him,
Whoa.
I think is idiotic. Because if we're talking about talent on this defense and you're bitching about talent on this defense, why are you letting go of Daron Payne? Then what are you left with? Congrats, you got 17 mil, but you're the same people that are wondering if Adam Peters is doing a good job. So do you trust him with the 17 million? That's why this is a strong opinion. I think a lot of people have lost their minds and are just going, okay, well, I see the money and I imagine that everything's going to work. Guess what? It doesn't always. Daron Payne, 5th best in terms of rush win rate against the run. Like, I mean, I don't quite understand why people are so excited to let go of a guy who's been captain for this team, and you've seen what he does. He's got the name contract year, Daron Payne. So, like, he knows it's a prove-it year for him. This is not a situation where he's going to hold out. The report is both sides are in agreement. He will play at the current cap number, and he'll get the opportunity to be able to earn more money, ideally with us. Right? So I am just baffled by the discourse, K-Dot. Like, this is Daron Payne. He is a first-round pick for this team. And here's the thing. If his contract naturally expires, I'm not going to begin to pretend I understand. This is like NFL. This is some sort of NFL algorithm that's secret in terms of the comp picks. But if you have a guy that has made a Pro Bowl or is all pro or plays a ton of the snaps, like 90+%, which Daron does, and you lose him to free agency, his contract naturally expires. He goes to a new team. He signs a big deal. Well, now you're getting a late 3rd round pick. So why trade him now? I don't know. It's crazy to me. I think Daron Payne needs to stay, and I'll be quite upset if we let him go. So that's where I'm at.
I can't believe that we're lockstep in this on this. That's crazy.
We're doing a lot of reading, a lot of thinking.
But I think that there were multiple points. I think me and you both said at some point this last season or something, like the question was posed whether or not this was going to be Daron Payne's last season or something. I think we were both kind of like, yeah, it kind of looks like it. No, not with the way the season ended up. Like, I want guys that have talent to be here. It's the same thing that there's going to be a really good conversation about Deebo Samuel that's about to come up too. Like, and his situation is different than Daron's, of course, but there's going to, like, the conversation as far as like what guys to bring back compared to what guys not to, knowing that you can't fix everything in one offseason with this particular squad. Like, it's just that's not going to happen. So, like, you're going to have to build whatever building blocks you can without sacrificing enough talent where, if you sacrifice enough talent, then the talented guys you might have that's also in the room can't shine as talented because they're making up for the lack of talent that the other guys have. you got to keep the balance. Like, you got to keep that balance. You got to keep it going forward. To me, this is just a slam dunk. Like, you do want to keep this guy. He's been the most consistent and the best guy on the defensive line this year, period. That's just what it is. Uh, shit. Going back a few years now, he's the most consistent guy on the defensive line, probably, in and out. So it's just too much talent to go away. Now, like, if Johnny Newton down the stretch, and they gave him playtime, but if Johnny Newton down the stretch, and there were some aspects of it was like, okay, that's cool. But if I'm leaving Johnny Newton out there just for the run defense, I'm sorry, no, that's not going to happen. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and I love Johnny Newton.
I know.
I think a lot of people know that. Okay, I know you absolutely know that. I still think he needs another year, right? And in rotation, we know that he's excellent as a pass rusher. So you can still put him in situations like that where it's an obvious passing down. He had, 3 sacks against the Dallas Cowboys when they played their guys, right? It's like, so that is a player that you can still choose to bring along. You have the luxury to do so here because you already have a Daron Payne under contract. We're currently 6th in the NFL in cap space at $68.8 million. So if you let go of Daron, okay, cool. You move up to 4th place, right? Like just ahead of the New York Jets. And then you're probably going to need to use the money on a defensive tackle.
Yep.
So I just don't get why you wouldn't already have the guy who's been with your franchise since he was drafted, that's proven that he can run stuff, right, alongside Javon Kinlaw. Let's not forget, when those two were healthy, when the defense was healthy as well, like Dorrance Armstrong, Trey Amos, etc., coverage is a little bit better. We look good on defense. Like, the defensive line was doing its thing early on in the season. If you lose him, it's just too big a gamble, in my opinion. You do need some continuity at some point. So, yeah, I think we need him, and we can still bring along Johnny Newton.
Yeah, the only pushback I had, you said something about the secondary. I'm like, hold on, what?
There's 1 week against the Giants.
Okay. That was Russ playing, right?
That was Russ, yeah. Cam Scatterboom, negative yardage.
So that's what I'm saying. The run defense when we were healthy was there. And the fact that, like, I will forever tell people that, like, if Dorrance Armstrong started this entire season, if Dietrich Wise started this entire season, you're going to feel a lot different than this. And if you look at the Brian Flores defense and everything, you need a good rotation up front. It's not about just the starters. You need a rotation. You need fresh guys. You need fresh bodies to go and start getting after the motherfucking quarterback, to start dictating things. Daron Payne in a contract year with a more aggressive defense, sign me the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. I am in total agreement with you there, K-Dot. Any final thoughts? Actually, I wanted to look one more thing up. So any final thoughts over here on Daron Payne, on the defense, as we move forward with Daronte Jones? Got to be said, just real quick, that the reason the press conferences for both David Blau and Daronte Jones are happening after the Super Bowl, according to John Keim, is going to be because they're filling the staff out right now, right? They are getting all their pieces in place so that when you have that conversation, not a lot of the answers are going to be, well, I'm still putting my staff together, right? Now it's together. Okay, so now you can go ahead and talk about what your plan is, what you're going to do. So any
conversations.
Say it again.
You're gonna keep this guy on staff, or you're cutting him for somebody you like. You should leave me alone. Like you don't. No one wants to have. It doesn't make sense to have him go through that, especially when there's probably going to be a lot of turnover. When you were talking about the fans, I just think people had it in their heads that he was going to be gone at the end of this season, and I also think that, like I've been saying, the word of the off season is overreaction.
Yeah. And I need to double check this. I'm looking at it now, but I don't quite know how the spot track does this. Marshawn Lattimore does currently have an $18.5 million cap hit. Should you release him, there's no dead cap, right? So maybe that 68.8 does not include cutting Marshawn Lattimore, which will surely happen, right? And so that's another $18.5 million right there, right? So now you're back to your 4th place anyway, and you keep Daron Payne.
Well, I will say this. Usually GMs, the worst GM. I mean, mixed bag. When they've traded draft capital for somebody, they usually ride until the wheels fall off. I think the wheels have fallen off, but I don't know. I don't know where Adam Peters' line is, but I do think that I would not anticipate Marshawn Lattimore being back. So didn't he have a legal thing that happened?
A legal thing that happened, and he also tore his ACL. So you don't have a guarantee that he's going to be the same. You can cut him and bring him back at a lower number. There's also that, right? So, or you can restructure with him, but it's not happening at 18 and a half.
Look, the production's one thing, but I've been saying from the get-go, I just didn't think he was a good fit.
Yep. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the teams that played this past Sunday. The Denver Broncos with Jarrett Stidham put up 7 points against the New England Patriots, led by Drake Maye. They put up 10 points. The New England Patriots advance to the Super Bowl. And then on the other side, a great game. 31-27 Seattle, with both quarterbacks playing really, really well. I think Sam Darnold played better than anybody would have thought, with the exception of maybe Sam Darnold and Clint Kubiak and Mike McDonald, those guys. But everybody, it was one of his best days ever. K-Dot, your reaction to the games?
I liked both games. Thank you very much.
I liked both games too, by the way.
All right, it feels like it's just showing a bunch of shade in fucking Denver. When
Well,
it started snowing,
the blizzard.
I was like, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, when it started snowing, I was like, this is fucking entertaining. But there was also, like, for the longest time, it really did, like, what I thought was going to happen in this game is that anybody could win, right? Like, all it was going to take is, like, the one play or somebody to, like, break something or whatever. And Stidham held it together as longer. I mean, I didn't know what to expect with Stidham, especially with Sean Payton, even though it looks like Bo Nix and Sean Payton are not on the same page right now, which is hilarious. I don't like Sean Payton. I didn't know. Jarrett Stidham looked better than I thought early. And then it started falling apart. And it was like, okay. And then New England's defense is still, like, good. There's a thing that all right, look. Another thing that I've heard a lot, and I think people need to get pointed out to them. This New England resurgence that's happened this year, which, I'm a big, I was a bigger believer than you, but it's still your team.
No, that was my side piece team.
Right,
I knew that they were going to be awesome. Yeah.
All right, why do you think specifically they were going to be awesome?
Well, I mean, I'll go ahead and link the video as to why in a longer detail. But the main reasons being Mike Vrabel, that's the head coach. I did think Drake Maye would take a leap with Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator. I thought the defense was already good, and they were playing a soft schedule. That's why.
My number one reason, I love Mike Vrabel. I love Drake Maye. I like everything. The number one thing that I did not see coming that last offseason was how much Robert Kraft spent on defense. They spent some fucking coin getting that team to where it is right now. Like, the people like do the comparison between like us and New England and this, that, and the other. Like, this to me is the year that I'm expecting or anticipating Anna Peters to start spending some money. But they revamped a lot with what it is they spent monetarily. And that's just not something that Robert Kraft does. I mean, I think he spent more this last offseason than he had the entire time he had Brady and Belichick, honestly. But like it was insane to me. But like he really went ham in trying to get them the best. Like, you look at the defensive players they got, it's like, okay, yeah, they really turned the corner.
If I could add to your point, 8 new starters on defense. They literally just created a new defense. So that's a point in favor of people that are like, oh, Daron Payne, you can get 2 new starters. I get it. This isn't normal, though. Like, they hit on basically all of them. So go ahead.
And that speaks volumes as far as Vrabel and what it is they got. Also, Josh McDaniels, I've always said, like, as far as an offense coordinator, extremely
fantastic.
Underrated. Yeah, it's dope all the way through. So, like, I love what it is. I love this matchup. Honestly, the entire time I was watching these games, I was just like, I am happy with any outcome whatsoever. I'm, like, ecstatic about any outcome whatsoever. I don't remember a year that's like that. Even like one of our Munster X or whatever the fuck he calls himself here, he's been trying to convince me the last like few days to just go all in on New England, and I'm like, no, like I don't.
This is my side piece too. It's not even on the board.
Why? But it's to me it's just I can say I can root for any one of these teams except for Denver probably for the least amount, although I like their defense. I just hate Sean Payton. But, like, I would have been cool with it. I would have been cool with all. Like the idea that Jarrett Stidham gets to, like, come out of nowhere and potentially go win a Super Bowl just to do it and be like Big Dick Nick for a second. Like, what does that do to that locker room? Like, there's just so many – there were so many goddamn pieces. But it was just it was good. Just good. God damn. Can you – that Sunday was just a wonderful Sunday. This stupid fucking week bullshit where we got to wait a week before Super Bowl. I fucking hate it. I hate it.
It's a tough sports week. By the time you're seeing this, though, John Wall night would have occurred. So at least there's that for the Wizards. Shout out John Wall, man. Come on.
Or maybe Giannis is playing for Minnesota by the time you're seeing this. NBA worth.
Yeah, no, it certainly is a tough week of waiting. I enjoyed both games, just to be clear. I know not a lot of people enjoy the defensive struggle and defensive battle. I enjoy those. Like the old Baltimore-Pittsburgh games were fantastic. Like I always enjoyed that. That's why I like the Texans. That's why I like the Seahawks. Like their defenses are fantastic. And the New England Patriots defense, I think, continues to get not enough flowers. And they are criminally underrated. I mean, like they have played amazing with Milton Williams and Bob Spillane in the lineup. Like they have been really, really good. They've forced multiple turnovers in every single game. And it was an impressive display from the entire team. I will include Drake Maye in that. He has not surpassed Jaden for me, but because 86 pass yards, that's tough, of which 30 come on a flea flicker. But what I will say is that he didn't turn the ball over. Right on the road, he did not turn the ball over, and he still had 65 yards on the ground and scored a touchdown.
That's the
right.
thing.
So, like, he did his part in that game, and so I thought he played well, like a lot. That was his best playoff game so far. Better than the one against the Chargers to me. Better than the one against the Texans. I think that was his best playoff game in terms of impact.
Two things. Number one, what was the record? There's no team has ever faced 3 top 5 defenses on the road of the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Drake Maye did that.
He
did you heard the story about the run for first down?
Yeah, no, that was epic.
That was
epic. Him and McDaniels. No, it's a great story. Just to be clear, that's a great story. For those that don't know, Josh McDaniels gave Drake Maye the play and also said, "Hey, this normally does go to Ramondre. You're going to hold it, and you're not telling anybody that you're keeping this because we really need to sell the fake." So everyone on the Patriots offense thought Ramondre Stevenson was getting the football. The only person that knew in that huddle that he wasn't was Drake Maye, and he ends up icing the game out. So just to give context to everybody, go ahead.
Baller. I'm just saying, I like Drake Maye, and like I've said all season, there's a difference. Every once in a while you'll hear somebody talk about a player, and then you realize, oh, you haven't watched their games. You're clearly watching Red Zone. Anthony Richardson is the number one of that of all time, maybe. Like, I will 100% know if you were a Red Zone watcher compared to watching his games. Drake Maye is also kind of in that category. He has rough moments almost every game. And the thing is, when you look at the end of the stat line, like his completion percent, everything is like through the roof at the end of it. And you can talk about cupcake schedule, whatever it is you want to talk about. But there are moments where he just doesn't necessarily. He does look like, oh yeah, you've been in the league 2 years and this is your second offense. Yeah. Like sometimes it absolutely looks that way. The way I still feel about this entire quarterback class.
I mean, it's hard to argue against this quarterback class so far, right? Like Drake Maye is now going to be starting a Super Bowl in his second year. Then you got Caleb Williams, who finally showed some of that special sauce that K-Dot and many, many others have talked about. The divisional round is what they get to, and they take the Rams to overtime. Right. Then, of course, Jaden last year, the magical run all the way to the conference championship game. And Bo Nix, who knows? Maybe he's the one playing for the Super Bowl if he doesn't break his ankle or foot or whatever it was that he broke. Right. Like, so who knows? Like, it's been a really strong class so far, and it's been really fun to see those guys. And listen, if someone told me right now, hey, I think Drake Maye is better than Jaden Daniels, I'm not going to argue with them. I'll be like, all right, that's fair. Like, I think that's your pick, your flavor that you've talked about. I prefer Jaden. I still think Jaden's better, but I'm not about to. It's not like a strong argument. Certainly not. So yeah,
it's the only thing I want. Like I caught enough shit, and I'm still catching shit, and the jury's still not. The verdict's not in, you sons of bitches. He looked good.
I didn't bring him up.
I'm bringing him up
for the record.
But I'm bringing him up because what I want, my grand thesis on that quarterback class was, remember, the only reason I was out on Bo Nix was I heard him use his own
third person.
He talked about the third person, and that bothered the shit out of me. I like him, I just didn't like that. I do like him a lot with Sean Payton, even though I fucking hate Sean Payton. I just think they work.
He holds his own with Sean Payton.
That's my thing. Is like I think they work together. I think that there's just stuff about like we're both kind of dickhead assholes, and we're gonna talk to each other in this way, which is what you're seeing happen in the media right now with it. Bo Nix being very upset with Sean Payton about talking about his injury history. He didn't even know. Like, yeah, I want more of that this offseason because Sean Payton can't fucking bite his tongue. Yeah, my big thing with the quarterback class, and it's like you said at the end just there, in my opinion, like, and I was talking to Brennan about this, I legit thought that you had a chance of at least 2 Hall of Famers. in this class, and I was shooting for 3 or 4, honest to God. And and I still feel like we're kind of in that territory, honestly. It's just to me, it was all about what's your current situation and what flavor ice cream do you like? Because I think that they all bring something just different to the table. Drake Maye is so not like Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is so not like Caleb Williams. None of them are like Bo Nix. They're all so fucking different. It's just, that's what's the coolest part about it, is like you're seeing the future class of the league, and they do it in these so varied ways that it's like, that's just entertaining as fuck, man. Like, you gotta have, it's like, pick your racehorse. Like, for the next decade, pick your racehorse. I mean, if Jaden or JJ stay healthy, pick your racehorse in that sense. But yeah,
all 4 of these guys that we're mentioning right now that have had some playoff success, like, they all do use their legs, and they're pretty good about using their leg. Again, Drake Maye, I think his biggest impact was running the ball this past game, right? 65 yards and a touchdown.
I do kind of think that's just the NFL now. You can't not be.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, because there's also Matt Stafford played great. Let's talk about that other game.
52 years old
and played great.
I'm not denying. I fucking love Matt Stafford.
Yeah,
but I'll tell you right now, Sean McVay would love if he ran, if he could run
for sure. Well, he did. Did you see the broken tackle against DeMarcus Lawrence? I mean,
but Matt Stafford's been my dude for he's one of my favorites for a while.
He was absolutely outstanding this year. I mean, Matt Stafford and Drake Maye, one is going to finish in first place in MVP voting, the other second. Like, they've both had phenomenal seasons. We got to talk about Sam Darnold, though, because he was outstanding. And I don't think that anyone thought that that was going to be possible in that spot. When, if you followed Sam Darnold's career, it has been the seeing ghosts. Now, I guess to play New England, by the way, like the seeing ghosts. Then it's the big game for Minnesota against the Detroit Lions that last week of the season. He's just missing throws. Then against these LA Rams in the playoffs, he just falls apart again. And then they played the LA Rams, and he threw 4 picks the first time. And you're like, oh, man, here we go again. And something changed on that Thursday night where he finally dialed in. He got a bit of luck, but he ends up winning that game. And since then, he's been good. But this was an incredible performance. 3 touchdowns, 346 yards. I want to say, like, he was excellent, K-Dot.
No doubt. Darnold got the monkey off his back. I mean, I will always love Darnold being a success because it proves a couple things as far as me wanting to be patient with quarterbacks. Number 1, no one will have success with the New York Jets. Number 2, be patient with your fucking quarterbacks, guys. Like, give them time. And the thing is, like, with Darnold is, like, if the criticism for Darnold was that, hey, he doesn't show up for big games, but he got the production that he had last year in Minnesota and the production that he has this year in Seattle, then what does that do? Put him in, he's less talented, but we still got the same question we have with him that we have with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. I'll take it. So, like, that's the thing is, like, Darnold, I think, answered all questions as far as his regular season ability. I wanted to see one more year before I believed in it. I did think that he was going to have a regression. I also think part of that was because I didn't like Seattle getting rid of Geno Smith after the year that he was having, but god damn, did they make the right choice there. Yeah, they absolutely upgraded. I mean, was Geno play better with them? Are they in the Super? They're not in the Super Bowl.
No, they're not in the Super Bowl.
They're not in the Super Bowl. But the thing is, like, you still look at Seattle and you see Sam Darnold was making the throws when they asked him to make the throws. JSN is a fucking cheat code, and they stick with the run game regardless of anything. And as long as they play defense and they do those things, it just Mike's got them guys humming. Like, I just fucking love them. And that defense, Nick Emmanwar, like, oh my god, is that
dude,
good dog.
Dude, I mean, I told you about the YouTube rabbit hole I did on the Seahawks defense and just the importance of Nick Emmanwar. And also, he's huge. You literally look at him, you're like, how is this possible? He went in the second round. Like, he's perfect for them. He may already be the best player on the defense. Like, it's crazy how good that kid is.
I was so close. Disturbingly, I'm glad I didn't. I almost went to Seattle for the game. It was the grand total would have cost me like 14-5. But I wanted to be there so fucking bad. Like, yeah, the game had me hyped. I was fucking hyped. And look, I'm about to go to Seattle for a month. Lord knows I want to go to a lit fucking Super Bowl winning city. So, like, I got that for him. But I also love Drake. I love everything in the way it folded out. This has been outside the Commanders and the injuries. And once again, I don't take the injuries personally because it just happens. This has been a phenomenal season of football, like through and through. Like it's been a wild, crazy parody has existed in this level at which I haven't seen for so goddamn long. Even some of the cheap fucking bastard franchises spent some money and got something done this fucking season. Like it's been nuts. I've loved everything in this goddamn season. It's just been cool.
It's been a phenomenal NFL season objectively overall, right? Like obviously our season we wish went a lot better, but objectively it's been a wide open race. It's been an awesome season. And note to the NFL and to the NFC in particular, don't let the Seattle Seahawks get home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They are now 12-1 all time in the postseason at their place. It's a tough place to go and win. It is a tough place to go and win over at Lumen Field. Any final thoughts here, K-Dot, before we move over to Bill Belichick in the Hall of Fame?
I love the Rams. I love Sean McVay. Wouldn't question a lot of them. I did question a lot of shit that they were doing in that particular game. I think they need to kind of calm themselves down a bit.
Fair enough. And so we go over to big news in the NFL, which had athletes and coaches from multiple sports chime in when they found out that Bill Belichick did not get the required number of votes to become a first ballot Hall of Famer. He still has an opportunity to go to the Hall of Fame next season. But this is such big news that we wanted to make space for it as well, because this is, I don't know, the GOAT of coaching, right? Like, I mean, he's got the most Super Bowls. What is he, second all time in wins as well? Most playoff wins of all time. He didn't get in. It's shocking. I understand that, people are going to have varied opinions on it with Spygate and, Deflategate and that stuff. But nonetheless, shocking. K-Dot, what was your thought there?
There is no opinion on this. You're wrong if you don't. Like, Bill Polian, you're a bitch-ass bitch. Like, that's some petty bitch. I ain't saying bitch and like, just like you acting real bitch-like, man. You kind of bitch made on this. Like, that is some petty fucking shit. And no one believes you. No one believes you. Okay. So my thing is, like, I've had conversations with people about the greatest head coach of all time, and my opinion is Bill Belichick, right? But as a matter of fact, bringing up Brendan again, I was talking to Brendan the other day, and like he's of the idea. Do you know who he thinks the greatest coach of all time is? Joe Gibbs.
I'll listen to that.
Right, and you hear that, and you're like, okay. And the reason you would say Joe Gibbs is 3 Super Bowls, 3 different teams, basically, to get to those Super Bowls, especially the quarterback aspect of it, right? That's impressive. Where you have, like, Belichick, majority of his record comes with either being with Bill Parcells, which, I mean, come on, that goddamn team, or what he was able to do with Tom Brady at the helm, and a lot of people look at, well, what did he need to do with Tom Brady at the helm? Now, I think the stat that everybody needs to look at, regardless of the way you feel about fucking Spygate, to a certain degree, even the way you might even feel about him having Tom Brady with him, there is one thing that I think is indisputable. Like, even if you don't think he's the greatest head coach of all time, and I'll listen to some things about that because of diversity of stuff. I'll listen to Joe Gibbs. I'll still listen to Vince Lombardi. He's the greatest defensive mind that's ever existed in the NFL, and it's not close. There's a gap there. Like, the stat that everybody needs to pay attention to, the one I think was making the rounds on Twitter, was how many top 10 defenses did Tom Brady have going to the Super Bowl? That's the thing you want to fucking look at, is that you look and see what he was able to do with LT down the greatest defensive player ever, and why it is that he was able to unlock him on a level at which LT didn't understand and fucking hated his guts even at one point. This is where we're at. Like, he's done things just from a coaching standpoint defensively that, like, he is so clearly the best at that alone should get him in the Hall of Fame. And then when you start looking at the accolades compared to other guys that are in the Hall of Fame, like, have you lost your goddamn mind? So the idea that you're going to punish him for a year because you feel some sort of way, which is, we all know the reason you feel that way is that he used to kick your ass when you were the GM in Indianapolis. That's what happened, dog. Like, you got to get over that shit. Like, this is not what your job is now. Vote the motherfucker. Like, I don't understand that. I don't understand anyone that would not vote him in, regardless of the way you fucking feel about it. Like, the only thing I heard from anybody, like, he was Bomani Jones, was like trying to throw the most bail he possibly could, was like, maybe they thought that he'd come back to coach and they didn't want to have to restart the counter and it would, like, waste a slot for somebody. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You're not doing, no one should be taking that into consideration when you're voting for somebody. Look, it's the same way I feel about Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds, in my opinion, is not the greatest baseball player of all time, but he's definitely in that goddamn market. He's the greatest hitter of a baseball of all time, right? But the thing with Barry Bonds is so frustrating is that everybody wants to give him shit as far as the steroid use. But what people don't talk about is that he was a bona fide first ballot Hall of Famer before he even took one fucking shot. Like, that only elevated what his doing was his hitting. If you were to end his career before he shot up at all, that is so purely a fucking Hall of Famer. Are you kidding me? Like, that's where we have to go off of. Like, motherfuckers just being petty as shit.
Yeah, this is shambolic. This is asinine. Yeah, sorry guys. This is a largely agreeable episode between myself and K-Dot here, so not as many sparks this time. But like it's thing is,
proletariat.
the thing is, you still. So I got the Spygate stuff is obviously tricky, but I think the league already punished him for it. Is one, two. You still gotta line him up and win. And he did, right? Like, that's the thing. He found ways to win, right? And on the subject of Spygate, this doesn't make it okay, by the way, but a lot of other coaches were also doing it. The Patriots were the ones caught. Once again, I'm not saying because everyone was doing it, it's okay. It's not. But when it comes to the overall resume of Bill Belichick and over that amount of time, right, and the defenses he was able to put on the field to allow Brady to be able to do his things in those spots because the games were close enough for him to be able to do it, right? Like, that is winning by this much. That's a skill at a certain point. And Bill's the greatest coach of all time as of right now, right? Like, it just, I don't know how this wasn't. I could understand not unanimous because maybe one or two people were like, hey, the Spygate thing, I'm not making a first ballot. Fine. For more than 10 people to do that out of 50, I think is insane. And this guy's unquestionably first ballot.
No, when the news first broke, the first conversation I had with somebody about it, I was like, all right, well, if it's going to be anything, it's going to be the fact that he rubbed reporters the wrong way. You know, he was an absolute dick. And as a matter of fact, same as Barry Bonds. Reporters don't like him. Part of me did think that one of the reasons he got into TV was to start that reclamation project, which was like start making friends with all the reporters and the journalists and do that TV thing to like, hey, I'm just a guy. I was just doing my job to a certain degree. But look, the more I listen to Pablo Torre, the more the reason that I made sure that Jordan Hudson made her appearance here on this thing, the more and more that I'm starting to realize that he's a fucking moron outside of football.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But for football,
this is the
man's a savant.
Yeah, this is Pro Football Hall of Fame. Yeah,
it is absolutely ridiculous. Not that, and then the other part that I will always give him credit for. Everybody talks about like Tom Brady and what he did as far as like cutting his salary every year. I'm sorry, to get the output that they got year in and year out with as cheap a fuck as Robert Kraft is still, in my opinion, insane and something more people need to look into.
And the year Brady went down, remember, that was week one. I want to say it was against the Kansas City Chiefs. They still got 11 wins with Matt Castle that season, which means the defense was really, really good. Also, I don't know, to get 6 Super Bowls in that amount of time and have, you either call it one really long dynasty or 2 different dynasties. I don't know how you're not getting in first ballot.
9 appearances. Get the fuck out of here.
It's crazy.
Get out of here.
Any final thoughts here, Kate, up before we move over to the comment mailbag?
If anyway, it's the Spygate thing. I would tell anybody to do a deep dive if you're a Commanders fan to George Allen.
And with that, we go over to the comment mailbag featuring an intro video.
Fuck you, Nikki.
And now the District Divided comment mailbag.
Thank you very much for that intro. Beginning with Neb's Terrify shout out. How has no one mentioned K-Dot's mic volume? Just want to be clear. K-Dot and I have talked about it very recently. He's working on it. Just need to be 100% clear.
I'm so self-conscious about my microphone. Y'all have no idea what a struggle this has been for me for years now.
He's working on it. Okay.
I mean, how much money I've spent on mics and fucking equalizing shit? I can't get it to work right.
We go over to King Showtime over here. This is the most recent one. It feels topical to Daronte Jones. So this comment was after we hired Daronte Jones to be our new defensive coordinator. Now that we have a new DC, do you think we move to a 3-4? Would that be better? Would that be a better scheme for what we have in-house? K-Dot, your reaction?
No.
So I'll go ahead and say that we don't know what we have in-house yet, right? Again, looking at the New England Patriots, free agency hasn't even begun. The draft is still over there. We anticipate using that first round pick, 7 overall, assuming we stay there, on a defensive player. We don't know what pieces we have just yet. I don't know that we know what Daronte Jones wants to do with what we currently have. So we'll see. Based on what we currently have, I would say no. I like Kinlaw and Payne together and running the 4-3, but yeah.
Yeah, it's I think that, like, yeah, never mind. I'm going to do it. Yep.
All right. Carlton Ellis goes Carl Scott. That got 4 thumbs up, K-Dot. That was a hot name. Once again, that's the Seahawks pass game coordinator on defense. A lot of people excited for him. Mm-hmm. He, of course, will continue with the Seahawks, maybe become a defensive coordinator somewhere else. There's still some more openings, but won't be here.
Yeah, it was just like, I do think that if the Rams win the game, maybe there's a bigger likelihood or a higher likelihood of that being the case. But I also think if you listen to Keim and everything, and once again, you got to take anything from any journalist, even though I think we know Keim is God. We have to take anything with a grain of salt because of how locked in this front office has been as far as like not letting anyone know what it is they're thinking or doing at any given point in time. But it does make sense, not knowing what's happening with position groups, that you want somebody with at least some experience, like a lot of experience. And I knew that at least when you hear Keim or some of the guys, like that was part of the thing. That was part of the checklist that they were kind of looking for, was somebody that was going to have some experience. If they were going to go blow on offensive coordinator, then they wanted somebody else to be a coordinator with some experience. And I think if you're looking at the nitty gritty of like why you would want that experience, Jones takes care of that part of it, and Scott would not have.
Agreed. Here's Jamal Bibisharbon. We going, I'm still laughing at how easily the Eagles folded against the 49ers. LOL. Kate, your reaction to that?
Bunch of bitches. And I do love the fact that like the amount of chaos I'm hearing out of Philly this offseason is hilarious.
Schefter ends up dropping maybe we're talking about more than just this offensive coordinator next week. Who knows what that's about? Oh, Dom would be. That would be.
We know what we want Adam Peters to do.
That we do.
I don't want him around the team. I just want him locked in.
No, just away. Just away. Once again, you're trading a second round pick which you don't have.
Like security for John Fetterman or some shit.
Yeah, there you go. Here is Martin Collins. Shout out. I'm in agreement with KDOT about Raheem Morris. We need an emotional leader. Stoic ain't getting it done for defense. KDOT, your reaction to that?
Jones is definitely not as loud as Raheem Morris, but the energy below the surface is there. He's not as stoic. He is going around. He communicates. He talks with guys. He's constantly doing that. There's a balance there. Like I said, Raheem, I think, fits the corny aspect of what it is that we're doing here in Washington, which might fit overall. I mean, look, sometimes corny just works. Jim Zorn, for those few weeks, that worked. George Allen, I'm bringing him up again. Corny as fuck. Look, as much as he's Joe Gibbs kind of fucking corny, but it's like that's just whatever. But it's like I can also see Raheem Morris, if you're not locked in the way he wants to do things, and I think him and Dan Quinn alike, if you're not there, it gets really, really annoying.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
Safer pick there.
Yeah, I think so. With Daronte Jones, it is going to be a little more. I don't know if stoic's necessarily the right word, but he's not going to be the rah-rah guy. He's not going to he's not going to be jumping up and down the sidelines, best I can tell. But what I do know is that we have a lot of energy on defense, a lot of emotion on defense, and I think he's going to bring the best out of these players. When you look at the Minnesota Vikings roster and defense, I'm going to make an assumption here. I don't think many of you can name all those guys, or even some of them, right? And they were getting it done with them. Right. So like that's something to consider as well. And I think guys like Mike Sanders still, like Quan Martin, like Trey Amos are going to have opportunities to be able to show Daronte Jones what they can do. And we'll go from there. But I think we do have some talent here that he can work with. And again, free agency to come. We know how important it is to have, looking at the playoff field, we know how important it is to have a good defense. I think it's obvious. Cool. So I think we're definitely going to look at that. And then in the draft as well. Martin Collins also going, Cliff was not using the run game and tight ends properly. We are evolving. It's going to be a home run on David Blau. He's got experience as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Also says this, David Blau is a good hire. Jaden Daniels is our core. Keep JD5 happy and comfortable with the system that has great potential in my opinion. K-Dot, your reactions.
Hold on. So what's up with the run? He wasn't using the run game prop. So is it play selection? Is what he's saying?
Yeah, just that it sounds like we're not running enough. We're not using the tight end. So like Ben Sinnott, for example.
No, I agree with the tight end thing completely. I don't think, but I also don't. I'm looking back and I do think that he just plays a little too loosey goosey with the tight end, and I do think he lets Zach Ertz improv. I'm still a firm believer that Zach Ertz is improving, or was improving. And everybody knows I want more Ben Sinnott time. I'd like more time with Colson Yankoff, any of those motherfuckers at tight end, honestly. But the run game philosophically is not one I'm ever going to really like within the confines of this offense fully, just because they're going to still want to do a lot of things out of shotgun and whatever. I still do think that overall people are not being accurate as far as what happened majority of the season when it came to the run game and the run selection. I do think that his hand was forced a lot.
We have Martin Collins with a few more over here going, I'm afraid it's not going to be a home run for the defensive coordinator initially. Will there be adequate options for what's available? We will see. That's one. And then after watching these very entertaining playoffs, it is even more apparent that we were completely decimated with injuries this year as a legitimate excuse. We're not as far off as you may think on being a contender again next year. I'm always optimistic about my Commanders. Here's one more. We may be overthinking all of these new hires. That's because we feel insecure because of our last season. We're going to be fine with the right acquisitions this offseason. Remember, in AP we trust? Yes. K-Dot, your reaction.
I agree with a lot of that.
Yeah, I also agree with a lot of that. And then, again, the stat is that we lost the most starts by starters this season more than any other team in the NFL. So it's got to be noted. That is a part of the conversation. Yeah. Here are a couple more, once again, from Martin Collins, who likes to break up the comments over here. JD5, baby. He's always my number one. That's 1, 2. Thank you, K-Dot. I am the original freak. I don't remember what that would possibly be about. So, K-Dot, do you have a reaction to that?
Fuck you. They can only be one. It's like Highlander, baby. I'm the OG freak.
And here are a couple more questions. What's your opinion on taking Ruben Bain Jr., Miami edge rusher, University of Miami edge rusher, in the 7th round, and also acquiring Max Crosby from the Raiders? I guess it truly depends on our new DC. And for the record, I'm the original Marty Supreme, aka Marty McFly. Keep up the good work, fellas. K-Dot, your reaction?
Such a good performance by Timmy. No to Max Crosby. Ruben, I was telling before the pod started who my favorite guy is in the draft, and I'll say right now. And then once again, I have not done a whole lot of exploring with the draft so far, but I have kind of fallen in love with somebody. And I heard a couple reporters say the name too. And you said Daniel Jeremiah had a mock, so now I feel vindicated. I'm like, oh, maybe I did see something. Sonny motherfucking Styles, baby! Welcome. It's the Styles Show. The same way I feel about like Brock Bowers, the same way I feel like Ashton Jeanty. It's the same way that I feel. I know I just paused or froze for a second, right?
Fine.
Yeah, Sonny Styles.
Sonny Styles. So I will say this. If Ruben Bain Jr., if for whatever reason is available in the 7th round, sign me the fuck up. Okay, now that being said, he is mocked to the top 10, so I assume, Martin Collins, you meant at 7 overall. Taking Ruben Bain over there, I'm good with. Now, K-Dot's got his favorite right now, still needs to do his deep dive, but as of right now, it is Sonny. As of right now, it is Sonny Styles. And for me, as of right now, it's Caleb Downs, right? From that same defense, when I hear about his leadership, his intelligence, I see him tackle, I see him ball hawk. I think the kid can do it all, right? Like, I think that he would be the leader on defense in the same way I believe K-Dot believes Sonny Styles would be the leader on defense.
I think it's Sonny Styles' defense.
So there you go. And again, Daniel Jeremiah has us taking Sonny Styles.
You ever see Boys in the Hood?
No.
Mother.
I don't watch movies. You know that.
Yeah, but it's Boys in the Hood, man. Like,
well, you know, I got a free night over here.
I'm like,
check it out.
I'm damn near gonna call you racist. Now, the best name for a movie character ever is Lawrence Fishburne's character in that movie, and I only think about it when I think about Sonny Styles. His name is Furious Styles in that movie. Furious Styles is a good name. Sonny!
Martin Collins. With
that's his nickname. Furious.
Furious would be pretty cool.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Martin Collins going, what do you think of Thor Nystrom?
Sorry. One more thing.
Yes.
You can't doing the. I don't know what Vrabel of the Patriots doing. I guess it works. In the movie The Warriors, the dude that clinks the bottles that says Warriors gets got. I don't know if they've seen the movie, but they keep doing that bit. I'm like, it doesn't end well for that guy. Why are y'all doing it? Right, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Martin Collins going, what do you two think of Thor Nystrom, and should we pick up Brandon Ayuk? So Thor Nystrom, if I'm thinking of who you're thinking of, Martin, is the guy on Twitter that is a Vikings. I don't know if he has a Vikings podcast or report or something. That, yeah, that's who I think, but I'm not sure. So I don't really have thoughts just because I haven't seen much of his stuff, save a couple tweets here and there. Should we pick up Brandon Ayuk? I would say no as of right now, but it's a really strange situation. I don't know enough about it. K. Your reaction?
I don't like the Ayuk thing. I just don't. The way it all kind of unfolded. And I know sometimes somebody just needs a fresh start. I mean, you look at nobody had really any. I mean, even though at the end of the day, I think most people defended him over the course of the season, but George Pickens was like a cast-off. Everyone was like, oh, man, he's just a malcontent. And he goes to Dallas, and, outside of that one game in which most people still defended him afterwards, it came out the media and stuff, and, he's been, a consummate teammate or whatever, it usually works. There's some guys who just need to change the scenery, and I think that there's some – I think in San Francisco particularly, he's just over it. But I'm also in this territory where it's I do want to keep Jaden at least comfortable to a certain degree, but I also want him to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I also think with something like this, I haven't quite seen a Brandon Ayuk situation before, right? Okay, so he was hurt, comes back, not quite himself. Okay, that happens, right? That's one thing. No one really knows. When Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have talked about it, they're we haven't talked to him in a month. That's exceptionally strange, right? So if you bring him over here, I'm not questioning the talent. And I'm certainly not questioning his relationship with Jaden. That stuff could be positive, could be because that's a guy you have a rapport with, you know how he operates, etc. But at the same time, it is such a strange thing. I'm not looking forward to the questions around it because that's going to follow him every single week. That's going to be a thing. And how is he after injury? That's another question mark. I don't know. I would rather go after, with more money, Alec Pierce from the Indianapolis Colts. I think that's a guy who is explosive, 25 years old, over 20 yards a catch and over 1,000 yards. First player to do that since A.J. Brown in 2019, right? I'd rather go for that player. 6'3" also. I'd rather go for that player than Brandon Ayuk. But he would cost way more. But it's, yeah.
I just don't like the Ayuk thing anymore.
Yeah, same. As of right now, same. Unless I learn more where I'm oh, okay, it was the Niners' fault. I just doubt that's going to happen.
Let me ask you this: Would you run it back with this exact same wide receiver squad, or if you had the only other option would be to bring Ayuk in?
I'm bringing Ayuk in.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm only allowed to bring Ayuk in or run it back with the exact same thing we had, I'm bringing Ayuk in. I got to mix it up. I have to. Here's kick. You'd run it back? Okay. King Showtime goes, I feel alone by not having an opinion on this team next year or who we should draft. We need to hire the defensive coordinator, know what scheme we are in. Free agency will tell a lot, and hopefully we can patch the remaining holes in the lineup in the draft. K. Your reaction.
I don't care about scheme. I don't care about anything. I care about talent. There are no position groups on the team outside of quarterback that can't use talent. You can fit anything, and I'd rather us fit the system to work around the players than the other way around.
At what point can we stop using the excuse as a fan base? I don't know that you and I are, just to be clear, but Ron Rivera left us with nothing. What were we supposed to do? How far removed do we need to be before we can finally stop saying that?
Before we stop saying, or before it becomes not true?
Before it becomes not true.
I think in this particular situation, if you really want to, I usually put it about after year 3, around year 3, year 4. Okay. This is when you taken over. This is your team now. You've made the choices to put themselves in this position that you have right now. Because philosophically, you look at what New England did, and look, we've tried to do stuff like that, and it usually we overpaid for a bunch of assholes, and then they don't do anything, right? And you just wasted all this money, think you were about to go on a run. I think he's going the slow but sure way. And once again, I don't think it's excuses. I think it's the reason we had a season the way we did is because of the injuries. And if that's going to be the case, then
yeah, I think there's been a degree of caution so far. We know that with the number of years offered, Adam Peters has not signed anyone to beyond a 4-year deal in free agency. A lot of them are 1-year deals. A lot of them are 2 and a couple 3, right? Frankie Louvu was a 3-year deal. Dorrance Armstrong, a 3-year deal. So when he does hand out more years, Javon Kinlaw, he seems to do pretty well with it, right? Like that's good. But if we look at New England, Milton Williams was a 4-year deal, for example, right? So like you may need to get to a 4th year. And this to me is the offseason where you maybe do need to take a swing, right? Because now we are in this situation where year three, right? So like now you have a better sense for Dan Quinn. You have a better sense for the roster that you have. You better, right? And you pride yourself on communication. So does Dan. Show it, right? Like figure out what those traits are and take a swing. And we'll go from there. Like it's a very, very important offseason for Adam Peters. And here's Jamal Bibi-Charbonneui going, I think at the end of the 2026 season would be the time to rank the 2024 QB draftees. Hopefully, they will all have a productive season. K-Dot, your reaction to that, and we can continue the Adam Peters conversation as well, because that was the final comment.
It's a power ranking thing. I'm always going to be shifting and moving them around.
Yeah, it's early in their careers, and I think that there are a lot of possible power rankings you can have that are acceptable. And so again, it's early. And by the end of year 3, it'll be their year 3. It's Adam Peters' year 3. We'll have more space and more body of work to be able to go, okay, like this is what it looks like for this player. This is what it looks like for this player. And then at the end of year 3, they're all eligible for contract extensions, right?
Oh,
so
that's a good question.
Oh, go ahead.
How many of the top 5 get a contract extension?
How many of the top 5?
Yeah, let's go 5.
Okay, JJ's not.
You said JJ's not?
Yeah, JJ's not.
Okay.
Bo Nix is.
Okay.
Drake Maye is.
Okay.
Caleb is. Jaden is. So yeah.
Mechanics?
You can't right now. Not with the injury again, unfortunately. I'm mad about it. Trust me, I'm mad about it. Because I still believe in the kid. In the same way you believe in yours, I still believe in mine. But it's not been good. I can't argue against that.
I'm just saying, JJ's got a legendary moment. He's got a moment.
This was the show. This was District Divided DC Sports Podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode where we talked about Daronte Jones, Daron Payne, the NFL playoffs, Bill Belichick, and the comment mailbag as we always do. Before we leave, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
Fuck ICE, fuck Kristi Noem, fuck Donald Trump, fuck JD Vance, fuck Stephen Miller. Fuck them all. Fuck them all. Fuck them all. And if you stand with any of those sons of bitches, fuck you too. And that shit is shit.
Share this shit. Once again, co-signing over there with my co-hosts. Insane times. Just gotta change, man. So enjoy these episodes. Go make some change. Go be a part of it. And we will see you guys next week, Friday, 2 p.m. So
can I leave people with a controversial statement?
Sure.
I'm gonna get the end recording button ready.
Oh, Jesus.
What Amit just said, as far as it being a crazy time, I'd like to just tell people it's always been this way. And I think people that are saying anything about Nazis are not necessarily making the right comparison. The right comparison is slave catcher.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.